Well, welcome everyone. My name is Taylor Kay. I'm the Senior Director of the Work and Travel Program at Greenheart. I'm joined here today by Nina Cleveland, the founder and CEO of Lanyard, and expecting Lauren Courtney, also of Lanyard, to come along. She's the sales manager there. We're going to start out today with a few words about the basics of the Work and Travel Program, and then move swiftly into the main reason that you are all here, the challenges of seasonal housing and solutions. So just a couple words about Greenheart International, because I think we do have some folks that are new to us. So we facilitate cultural exchange programs for students and adults to the United States from abroad, and also programs for young people, young Americans to travel abroad. As a nonprofit, our mission is connecting people and planet to create global leaders. Among our participants, we promote volunteerism, personal development, and environmentalism. We've worked with nearly 300,000 participants over the years from 100 countries in every US state. The Summer Work Travel Program, or what we at Greenheart brand simply Work and Travel, is a 4-month program for those enrolled full-time in university. Participation is allowed only during one summer break. At its very core, the Summer Work Travel Program is a cultural exchange experience. The intent is that participants will learn about American culture and business culture, improve their English, develop some work skills, and hopefully friendships for the rest of their life. The work component makes the length of stay affordable, but this is not a true labor program, though of course many businesses will also use such programs. As the participant's visa sponsor, we work with the Department of State, which oversees these Bridge USA programs, to ensure that regulations are being upheld, appropriate measures are being taken to create a positive experience for all involved, particularly looking after the health, safety, and welfare of participants. So we can conduct a review of job agreements well prior to any offers being made to ensure compliance with program rules regarding housing, transportation, prohibited dangerous jobs, and of course, ensuring there's interaction with Americans. And you can see in the image here that the key players within Work and Travel. Headlines often refer to a housing crisis in America, and I saw some in the New York Times today. I think Congress might be talking about it today. And Work and Travel in seasonal communities has become more difficult for participants and hosts to source it as well. The rising cost of housing can push such housing options into marginal or less accessible areas, or cause overcrowded or subpar conditions. For the past 3 years, Department of State participant surveys show that 20% of participants were dissatisfied with their housing, higher than any other issue, job, community, health, those kinds of things. Among the Department of State's findings, housing is remote or too distant from the job site, a lack of amenities, that's distance from shopping or things to do, overcrowding or poor quality housing. And for those finding their own housing, there's also the risk of scams. Finding housing from abroad can open up that opportunity. Just over a year ago, the Department of State issued to sponsors like Greenheart a directive to increase our oversight of housing and transportation, which are closely related, obviously. We've taken those responsibilities seriously to vet housing and uncovered a couple scams along the way, but we believe the real solution is put more tools into the hands of host employers. Inevitably, as a sponsor, we, responsible for the welfare of our participants, we're gravitating towards the job options that are safer for participants. Therefore, we've partnered with Lanyard to offer this webinar for those that are looking for help. Maybe you've not provided housing in the past, or maybe you're looking to change to something more reliable, or maybe you're just curious. Regardless, we're glad you're here. Let me just close my part with a little pitch. If you're joining us today and you've not made plans for your summer staffing, or you're thinking ahead to next winter, and kudos to you for doing so, Greenheart is ready to help. We're still open to building relationships for this summer. We're conducting hundreds of interviews each week right now. We recruit from more than 30 countries, and our interview platform, VFairs, is well reviewed. It makes it easy for you as a host employer to focus just on having a good conversation. And it's not yet too late to get started, but it will soon be for next summer. My contact information is up there on the screen. If you wish to get in touch, we're happy to carry that conversation forward. So let me turn over the controls here to Nina, and we'll have plenty of time for questions as well.
I think I'm in control now. Everyone can see the lanyard screen? Yes, great. Okay. So thank you so much, Taylor, for bringing us onto this webinar. I know housing is a hot topic. We hear that all the time, and that's why we exist. So I am Nina Cleveland. I am the founder and CEO of Lanyard. I came from a hospitality background and worked with economy and mid-scale hotels for years and years before I started this company. And we took a little bit of a winding path. But what is here to stay is affordable corporate housing. And that's what we've been doing for the last 4 to 5 years. So let me tell you what makes us unique in the space. Right, just messed up the control. There we go. Okay, so we're a digital matchmaker. Unlike traditional corporate housing, we don't own our own inventory, but that has a lot of benefits. What that means is that we can go and find exactly what you need in the location that you need it. So we do housing for H-2Bs, J-1s, and other seasonal workers across the country in markets with 5,000 people and New York City for interns. We do 1 to 12 month stays. Our sweet spot is about, or average length of stay is about 7 months because we do a lot of H-2B work, but we also do quite a bit for J-1s as well. Anywhere between 2 beds and 250 or more beds. So we can kind of flex based on your needs and the number of people you have coming in. And everything we do is value oriented. We are servicing a need in the corporate housing industry that really had been unmet up until when we arrived. There are no corporate housing solutions when you think of traditional corporate housing in many of the markets that we go into. And so we create them. And our rates start typically from 125 per bed per week. That can flex up and down depending upon the market. Just did the same thing again. Okay, so some of the industries that we serve, we started with hospitality because that was my background, but we've sort of found that the need spans across a lot of different industries, everything from construction to food production, manufacturing, education, entertainment, and more. And we keep finding new use cases for affordable corporate housing solutions. What does our service look like? So our goal is to take the burden off of the employer and the employees. What that means is we find the housing, we help with the onboarding process. So if there is a contract involved, an application, fees that need to be paid, we facilitate that entire process. We consolidate all of the payments into one simple, easy to read invoice. We help with move in and move out. We can also furnish. We do account management, so you have one point of contact for all of the challenges or issues as they come up. And then we support you with move outs and getting security deposits back in the case that there are security deposits. And we find that we are taking about 80% of that workload associated with housing off the plate of employers. This look like? It's sort of a couple simple steps. The first one is you submit a housing request. Our form is geared toward seasonal housing. We ask you if you want to see your target rate is in terms of per bed per week, per bed per month, per room per month. However you're thinking about budgeting, you can essentially input your rate at target rate in that way. We ask you for your stay dates, whether you want furnished or unfurnished, all the details that then help us go out and find housing solutions for your group. We do charge a fee for that. It's $500. That fee then gets credited toward your first rent payment when you move forward with one of the options that we find. And should you decide not to move forward, we take that fee as just for essentially the service of sourcing. Once we present those options to you, you get to make a decision on which one you want to move forward with. We help with signing a contract and facilitating that process and move in as well. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the options that you might see. So our housing partner database is unique and it's expansive. The reason why it's unique is because finding housing and corporate housing solutions in some of these markets requires us to be incredibly creative. And that means that we basically can turn anything into corporate housing. It could be a hostel, it could be an unfurnished multifamily apartment, and we ship furniture, or we work with a furniture rental provider. It could be a hotel room, an extended stay hotel room, and we add a third bed if there's enough space for that. So we get creative to try to meet your needs when it comes to market, location, amenities, distance from the job site, and budget. We've sourced the housing options. We put them up on our portal, and there's typically anywhere between 2 and 5 options for you to review. They will vary in terms of the amenities, the travel time, the cost, et cetera. We present the rates back to you, regardless of how they're quoted. We present them to you in the way that you have made your request. So if you're looking at everything in terms of per bed per week, that's exactly how you're going to see it. And I like to remind employers and employees, all housing has trade-offs. There's rarely, I'm not going to say never, because occasionally it happens, but there is rarely one that is perfect in terms of meeting every need. So we just try to be as transparent as possible, right? Whether it's, payment terms due in full upfront, or flexibility, or a rate, or amenities. And so you can then make the decision on what works best for your team and your needs. Involved. So we've certainly had conversations with many employers who say, you know what, we're gonna leave it up to the J1s to find their own housing. We just want to put them in touch with housing, and that's totally fine. But what we're finding is more and more employers are getting involved, and there's a number of reasons for that, and that's where we come in. We work directly with the employers. You're going to have access to more housing options, right? We do corporate leases, corporate agreements, which means that you're going to pass a corporate credit check. And so that just means that, if there's more options, that means there's potential for more affordable options. Also, the time to secure housing. Oftentimes it can take, a couple of weeks. And so if you know far in advance that you have, 20 people coming who are going to need housing, that's a lot easier than an individual scrambling, in the first couple of days when they arrive, or from abroad. Sometimes there's an upfront cost, a deposit or something that's due that might be hard and a burden for an individual to pay. We also find that, groups typically can get a savings, right? So you group together and you get discounts, fee waivers, things like that. We do find it can be a competitive advantage. We've seen employers time and again now presenting job offer housing together, and that's a really compelling package. And in some cases, it may be required. So working with us, we have, when you work with us, you'll have a dedicated salesperson. We have an account management team that will guide you through every step of the process. We do this over and over again. We can work with your timeline, right? We're going to tell you if you submitted a request too early and it's too early to actually quote rates for you. We'll tell you if there's not enough time, but we can move very quickly. It's rare that we are the bottleneck in the process. It's typically the property, the housing partner. We can find you housing options that frankly are just not available anywhere else, or will take you and your team a long time to find on your own, because we do this every day. And then we get discounts. I'd say the 50% off of published rates, that happens with hotels typically, but there's other value adds, fee waivers, move-in specials, things like that, across different types of housing. And so anyway, I think that's the end of my presentation, but you can find us at lanyardstays.com. Lauren O'Connor, one of my sales managers, is also on the call here. And you can feel free to reach out to us. And we'd love to talk to you about your housing needs. We can have an exploratory call and you can see if it's a good fit. There's definitely no pressure, no obligation. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Nina. One for me is, what is the sweet spot for starting this process? For submitting a request with Lanyard, like how far in advance of an intended housing need?
For summer, I would say now. And it's just that, you get closer as you get closer to the summer, availability goes down, prices go up. And so, I think that the sooner the better. If you're looking at winter, I would say August, September is a great time.
Thanks very much. We have a question
Absolutely.
from, is it Cheryl? And you're muted at the moment. Are you able to turn on your microphone?
Sorry about that.
That's
Talking to
okay.
myself over here. As you mentioned, Sherelle, it was perfect the way that you said that. I'm Sherelle. I'm with Noble House Pacific City in Pacific City, Oregon. First, I just want to say thank you so much to Greenheart. I've worked with your guys' program for a few years now. I work with a couple of programs, and by far one of the best programs. I love everything that your guys' program is built for. I love every candidate and J1 that we've gotten. My account manager is great, just overall an amazing experience. So thank you. I really appreciate that you guys put on this. So I'm excited to hear more about Lanyard and kind of dive into your guys' business. Housing is always an issue. So it's really great that you guys can help educate and do these kinds of things. I do have a question. We're really fortunate. We have great resorts here, so we do have some housing in our area. It is, minimal, but it's still there. But we do we're in a corporate company. We're with the Noble House Collections throughout the United States. And I was wondering, is this just for J1's H2Bs, or is this for task force and all people in general?
Yes, it's for all people in general, because this was a presentation today around seasonal workers, and I kind of tailored it to that. But we do a lot of like year-round unskilled manufacturing labor, food production. So yeah, it really anyone who needs housing across the U.S.
Great. I'd love to
Yeah.
pass this information along to our corporate team, though. We have a lot of properties in Florida and Georgia and that kind of area.
Perfect.
And we do a lot of corporate recruiting. And so, it sounds like this could be a really good temporary fix for us to get people in and situated as they travel and take positions all over. So thank you.
Thank you,
Yes,
Cheryl.
absolutely.
We didn't plant you with your question but appreciate the positive comments.
Absolutely.
If anyone else would like to raise their hand or has questions, whether
We
specific to
we
your
just got a
situation or
great shout
general.
out.
I'm sorry?
Tom shouted us out. One of my hosts is currently working with Lanyard in OKC. We know exactly who you are. And he can attest to how attentive the Lanyard team is at providing support when issues arise. Very responsive and quick to find solutions. Thanks, Tom.
For everyone, that's Lauren O'Connor. She's on the sales team here at Lanyard.
Oh, now you guys are just being nice. Thank you, Kathy.
Could I ask, are there any parts of the country where, it is, it's even Lanyard doesn't have success? So anything
Yes.
where you have to be
Yes.
so local?
Yeah. We won't do Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket or Provincetown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most other markets, we're willing to give it a try. We won't waste your time. And I mean, there's definitely challenging markets where we've found housing. But those are ones where I was like, oh yeah, we'll go for it, sure. And yeah,
What happens
it's
if you do the exploration,
Mhm.
you've gotten through that process and you determine, gosh, there just isn't anything, timing or whatever it is, like what's that look like?
we would refund your sourcing fee in that case. Yes, to Newport, Rhode Island. We've sourced in Newport, no problem. Yeah. Yeah, we would refund the sourcing fee. And honestly, like our sales process and just process in general is very consultative. So you come to us and you say, my budget is X for this market, and we're going to tell you like, and you want to, within 10 minutes, we're going to tell you that's just not going to happen. We're happy to talk to you about, sort of relaxing some of those criteria to make it work and then doing the search, but we won't send you on a wild goose chase. Or I guess us on a wild goose chase.
Great. Renee?
Thank you. And thank you for that. Thank you for being here. So I'm actually with Greenheart, and one of my hosts asked me recently, um, is your team able to customize it to the local housing codes and things like that, since they're not experts in that arena?
Yeah, so we basically follow the directive from the property, right? So if the property or housing partner tells us that, it's like no more than one person per room, then when we present that option to the employer, it will be priced as one person per room. If they say you can do two per room and twin beds and it can fit two people, that's typically how we would present it. So it just depends upon kind of the housing partner and their occupancy limits and regulations. We do not do like for, two sets of bunk beds and rooms. That's not the type of housing we do.
Thank you for that explanation. One of the photos had a bunch of bunk beds in it, so that's helpful.
Hostel. Yeah, that's a hostel.
We've got a question from Shelby. If they have multiple locations, would each location have a sourcing fee?
Answer is yes. If you had, say, 3 locations in Chicago, then that would be one sourcing fee. Otherwise, each one does have its own sourcing fee. But once again, that sourcing fee gets credited to the first rental payment. So it just, it ends up kind of going toward your overall cost.
Great. Can you just we talked a little bit about timeline, but further, so if someone applies, how long should they expect to before they hear from you, and then how long does it typically take to get back with the next conversation about results or questions?
So if you get in touch with us, we will get back to you immediately. We are very responsive. So that may be, to set up a call to clarify some of the items in your housing request, or if you want to just set up a call with us, you can do that immediately on our website. In terms of once you submit a housing request and you pay the sourcing fee, it can take anywhere between, I'd say, 2 and 5 days to return options to you. And we'll give you an update on how things are going and what we're finding. So you won't, at no point in the process do we go silent.
Great. Any other questions from our audience here, whether specific to your situation or generally about the process? I'll mention from Greenheart, we'd love to see, a point where every single one of our participants is in host provided housing. We really value your local expertise and knowing which neighborhood is safe or accessible, which is close to grocery stores. We know employers do so much to make this program run. We really value the partnership with you, and know it also in some areas there is no other option. There's only what the housing that you have on, that you have on property or next door or, can source. We understand that.
Have questions, feel free to go to our website. You can submit a contact us form. You can set up a call with one of our sales team. You can chat with our AI chatbot. We are intending to be easy to get in touch with. Happy to answer any questions specific to your market, your needs. Taylor, I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity to present. This is why we do what we do. There's a real need around seasonal housing, and we're happy to help.
Great. Well, thanks again, Nina and Lauren, for joining us today, and everyone else for coming here to learn more. I think a recording will be sent out, maybe even the instant that we hang up, but within 24 hours, we'll make sure we get that out there. If there's anyone else that you wish to share this with at your organization, feel free, and and of course, reach out to Lanyard directly.
Thank you.
Great.
Have a great day.
Thanks.